Welcome to Acting 101, which is a monthly podcast featuring myself, Alana Pierce, Ben Starr, Erika Ishii, and Abu Bakar Salim. The show is about all things acting from the perspective of some very cool voice and video game actors. And it is entirely supported by our supporters on Patreon. They also get to ask special questions for episodes, and got an extra 5 minutes at the top of this particular episode. So if you would like to support the show, check us out on Patreon. Now, here's the episode.
So we started recording with the question, Ben, what were you like at school?
I was one of those like annoying kids at school. Like I was just good at school, and I don't know. Everyone. So a lot of my friends have this amazing history of like, yeah, I was really cool and I broke all the rules. I'm like, nope, I didn't. I played by all the rules. I was like, in the UK we have like head boy. I was that. I did all the sports. I did all the drama. I did all the talking.
Were you
I was that
super
guy.
popular?
I wasn't actually. I was, but I was harmless. I was so like, I'm just a fun joker guy, you know. I'm fun Ben, who was like good at the academics, good at the sports, but like I'm not going to get in your face about it, you know. And then I became an actor, and my entire worldview came crumbling down, and I realized like I experienced failure for the first time. You like be like, I'm going to be an actor, and then you just suddenly start being like, wow, you can't win all the time.
I've heard of people moving to LA who like chased the acting dream when they were a big fish in a small pond, and then they move here and it all goes to shit, and it's almost like they should have stayed because it was so much better for their ego to stay the big fish in the small pond.
Yeah.
It's tough.
For me, because I was actually born and raised in LA, and and everybody's like, oh, LA, everybody's so shallow and everything. And it's like, well, everybody is here with a dream. You know, everybody comes from everywhere, all over the world, and they come from their towns where they're the biggest dreamers in their town, and they come to LA and chasing that dream, and like that's their number one priority. And so sometimes, like, if you have to cancel on friends, a lot of times your friends understand because they're here for the same exact reason.
True.
And it's hard because like when you're in smaller communities, you have sort of that built-in support, and you have like you fail and it's like, well, I'm still surrounded by all my friends who always have the time for me. And then you come here and it's like it's nothing but no's and slammed doors in my face for day after day. And if you don't find your people, it can be difficult. So,
I mean, I really like LA, but I do feel like you've also figured it out that it is about you have to find your people, and you do have to try to. They don't just like come across you. But I like living here a lot, and that I agree people will cancel on stuff all the time, but nobody gives a shit because traffic's so bad anyway that if you're canceling and I don't have to drive, great.
That's another thing is it takes me less time to fly from Burbank to Oakland than it does for me to drive from my place to the West Side.
Crazy.
Less time.
I have a theory. So I live in London. It's dark here. I will. Everywhere takes an hour in London.
London's so big.
If it takes 10 minutes, it takes an hour. If it takes in my mind, I give myself an hour. If it takes an hour, it probably takes an hour and a half. So I give myself this kind of a crazy amount of time. Now we've got this amazing, like, you do not get across London is fucked as a city, but like, you don't want to drive across that city, but the transport is so good. Like public transport, the Elizabeth line, you can get across London really quickly, but I always give myself an hour. Always give myself an hour.
Wow.
Even if it takes 10 minutes.
Why?
I hate being late. I hate being late more than anything. Like it's my bugbear. Like I don't ever want to let anyone down ever.
Fair. Yeah, fair enough. Hey, what a guy, you know? Best boy Ben over here. That's what you said it was, right? Best boy?
I'm so nice.
Head boy.
Best boy's the grip.
Head boy's a bit weird. You're right. Best boy is the grip. We're going to call Ben Best Boy from now on.
Best boy Ben.
Look at him go.
My God.
On time, sometimes by an hour. Incredible. Look at him go.
Sometimes I'll go like for auditions. If I have an audition, I'll go to the place and see the door of the audition place and be like, great. And then I'll go and sit somewhere for
like an
airport
gate? You have to go.
Yeah.
Bet.
Oh,
Okay, I'll be back.
I'm so early to the airport. I'm so early to the
so
airport.
late. I'm as late as I possibly can be at the airport. Fucking hate
I'm
airports.
pretty time blind due to my ADHD. And so like I am late almost everywhere for any reason. I try so hard. It's not for lack of trying. It's
Mhm.
just that my brain doesn't process. Like I don't know how long we've been talking right now.
7
Has
minutes.
it been an hour or what?
7 minutes. It's a good point, though.
Oh
I know
God.
like ADHD. So I'm not great at being on time and am improving. But the reason I'm not good at it is because I always say yes to too many things. And so I will say yes
Yeah,
to almost
too
everything,
much.
and then I'll
Yeah.
have to push things. And I have to do that all the time. I did that to you guys today. I had a meeting, it went over, I had to push you guys like that. And then I have one afterwards that I'm going to have to push because of this now too. So I just say yes to way too much, and I need to improve at that. The ADHD thing, though, I didn't really understand a lot of things about ADHD until Rahul and I effectively started living together. He still technically has his own apartment. He's here most of the time. He has ADHD, and there is stuff that I'll be like, huh? And then I'll ask him about it, and he'll be like, I didn't even realize I did that. And like, he'll just like, there was one that when my mum was visiting, he, instead of taking all of the coffee pods out of the coffee machine, just took the top one out, put it next to the coffee machine, and then put the pod thing back in. So the next person then had to take them all out, and you could see exactly what he had done. And we were like, what? Why didn't you just take them all out and refill it? And he was like, I was on the phone. And I was like, ADHD. He couldn't do it. It didn't occur to him. There were too many things to do at once. It didn't make any sense. It's
Yeah.
so wild that like, I don't know. I feel like people with ADHD are for sure living in like an alternate reality, and we just like kind of like, yeah, he's a bad student.
I feel like it's a superpower, though. I feel like it's a superpower for people. Like there are some, a couple of my colleagues have it and are so fucking empowered by it. Like they're absolute machines with it.
Interesting. What's your experience with
like-
that, Erika?
Yeah, actually, I think because I have lived with it my entire life and I got diagnosed very, very early. I was very fortunate. My mom, clocked it very early.
Which
it
is-
was just so severe.
Yeah.
And I got medicated for it for a long time, but for a long time when I was like post college, I didn't really, it's in America, we don't really have, it's hard to get meds, and hard to pay for meds. And so I didn't have meds for like 10 years or so. And so I had to build these coping mechanisms. Like I have an incredible color coded calendar. I have alarms that go like every couple of, every hour for different things. I have like, a system of a granular to-do list. Like I have like so many built-in systems.
I do
that
all
are
of that too.
fail-safes.
Do I have ADHD? I have color-coded calendar. I do alarms, and I
mean,
have
it could also
granular
be
to-do
OCD.
lists.
It could be a different kind of neurodivergence.
No, again,
or it
I
could
do
be
have
that you're very
autism,
organized.
but no,
okay,
I'm thinking
no,
again.
There's a lot of
It's probably
what is
just the overcommitting. It's probably that's why I do all that.
Yeah. And so for me, it's like I have had to sort of create all sorts of fail safes for my broken brain. And so like, yeah, but then also it means that I can I feel like I have so much energy that my energy can just sort of like brute force through what normal people's brains can do. Like when normal people are organized and have their brain is focused, mine is everywhere, but I have so much energy that it can converge into one, like, yeah. So in some ways it is both my
Interesting.
blessing and my curse.
Cool.
how do you feel that like helps you as a performer or hinders you as a performer? Like what like workarounds have you kind of had to adapt to as a result of that?
Yeah, like if you're in the booth and you're doing stuff, are you also thinking about other things?
It's funny. I think like I love flow, right? So any state in which my brain
Great
is
game.
like just fully like absolutely laser focused on a thing on the moment. So whether that's like like being in the booth or acting and like everything in the world disappears except for this one moment and you're not living in the past or the present or the past or the future, just the present.
So it's almost like acting gives you like a break.
Yeah, it's like
Interesting.
it rests my brain. So like acting, martial arts, when I spin fire, when I do
It makes a
like
lot of sense now, knowing all the stuff you do that you have ADHD.
yeah,
It
right?
does
Like
like
I
add up.
do 1 billion things,
Yeah.
and the things that I do are all things that you can kind of just your ego, like everything disappears except
Hmm.
for that one thing. Like
Fire, it kind of
the
has to, yeah.
yeah, and
Mm.
for fire, it's crazy. It's this incredible sensory experience where just I have no idea how much time has passed. And like I'm not you guys I'm sure get that, like, when you're in the booth and you're like really on a roll, or you're in a great scene and you're just like what happened? You go into this fugue state, and for fire, it's like that, only there's this sensation, you hear this like
Mm.
of the fire going, and you just kind of go with the movements of it. And yeah, so I love any activity that'll do that, and I
Cool.
guess, yeah, that's probably part of my ADHD. And so I wouldn't say that it's like not necessary. My particular ADHD does help me in that way, just that, like, it's just pure chaotic energy that can sometimes be channeled into something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can I ask you? Can I ask you something? This is a one question you get asked all the time when you're like, and you'll get asked it in weird Q&As. So like you'll go and do a play or whatever, and then like people will ask you this one question. It's a joke amongst actors. How do you learn all those lines? Genuinely, how do you learn lines?
Hmm.
What's your process of learning lines?
Hmm.
Mine is
Yeah.
so specific. Mine is I remember the way the page looks. So I have to highlight the page. So I'm literally visualizing the actual physical layout of the page. And
What?
then, yeah, yeah. So I photograph
It's
the
a
page.
photographic memory.
Yeah. And then I record it in my ears.
I've done that
Well, I
before.
record
Yeah.
it, and then I
Yeah.
listen to it, and I have it like with my like phone out, so I can walk down the street looking like I'm on the phone, but I'm
Yeah.
not. I'm just like doing lines, and then I just repeat them again and again and again and again and again, whilst also at the same time holding the mental image of the page in
Hmm.
my mind.
That makes me
I
think that
will.
you are a more like action-focused learner. Do you learn things better by seeing them or hearing them than by reading them?
Yes, I do. Like I need to do. I
Yeah.
like this. The act of sitting is not useful for me. Like when
Interesting.
I say to people, I'm like, I need to be walking. I need to be doing stuff in the kitchen. I need to physically attach the words to emotion. That kind of, like Darren Brown did this thing, talked about like remembering things of like moving through a house. It's like remember each object in this list of moving through a house. For
Mm.
me, I attach that to like this particular line learning section. I'll be like, oh, I remember I was turning down that street. So I'm so
Wow.
visual, but also physical in the way that I learn lines.
No way.
And I can learn lines really fucking fast. Like you can give me, it's so quick. If I combine all of those together, I can learn 9 pages in a night. Like I
Wow.
can do that. But it's really interesting.
We'll
Like
throw the
it's
question to Erika, but I actually had experience with VHS Beyond because so much of it is just me talking, right? Nobody speaks back to me when I was doing that movie. There's a lot of the two quite large monologues. First time I ever had to learn monologues. I realized that I should be doing that. I could, when sitting, recite the monologues word perfect. When Kate also threw action at me, I had trouble. When I had to add moving or doing something else, or there was a break in something, I had gotten so used to, and I just didn't know this when I had done it, and now I know. I got so used to the words exactly the way that they were written, like without any breaks, that I had trouble playing around with them. And that was advice she gave me, was just know the lines. Like that was like the one thing she was like, the thing that's the most important for you, we can figure out everything else, is just know the lines. I had learned them too specifically. And so I was like, next time, what I need to do is say the lines while cooking, say the lines while walking the dog, say the lines while playing a video game, so that my brain can actually do the two things at once, which actually, Erika, may not be an issue for you at all if you have ADHD, right? If you're used to doing two things at once all the time. Like that was a struggle for me for sure, was just how do I do the lines and have this thing? Like I had at one part, one of the monologues is by a fire. We were like trying to simulate a campfire, but actually it was this giant fire stick next to me, which was very noisy to create like a flame effect on my face. And the first time that I tried that, I just couldn't get past the sound. I just was not used to me saying this monologue I'd said a million times sitting at home while there was also a giant flame making a lot of noise next to me. I had a lot of trouble doing that. Again, saying, Erika, maybe you have the opposite problem? Like,
Just like sitting is hard. Yeah, I mean, that is so common. I hear that all the time because, like, when you, especially, I mean, even just memory recall, oftentimes you remember it in circumstances in which you learn something,
That's really
you know?
interesting. I don't do
Yeah.
that.
And so, like, anything else is like a distraction, right? Like, so, like, if you're taking a test, people are like, have like memorized things. Sometimes people say, like, I've memorized it while I've listened to music or something. And then without music, I'm just like, oh God, I can't recall it.
Yeah.
And I think for acting, yeah, especially the temptation is to sort of like get word perfect with it and then sort of like have it like that. But then it's like if somebody talks to you or if something goes off or there's some sort of deviation from the circumstances in which you learned it, it's hard to sort of pivot,
Totally.
and that's like, yeah, it's hard, like, especially since when you're acting, you have to have so many other circumstances and things. Like you have to think about what you're
Where the
doing with
camera
your
is. When do I
hand.
need to
Yeah.
move the camera? Because VHS is so much also of like, I have to look like I'm holding the camera or moving the camera at all times. So I was so much
Yeah.
like, hold camera, sit, do this. It's like it was like a play in terms of like there was just so much fucking blocking of where I had to be and when I had to stand and when I had to say certain things. But to Ben's question, what's your process for learning lines and is there like an ADHD version of how do you retain that information that sometimes could be boring?
Yeah, actually, for me, I think it's like once I have it in, on its feet a little bit, like I almost immediately will do a run of it. Like I don't really try to memorize it, like even sitting or walking or anything. Like I will read against somebody else or be like just sort of get it on its feet and get idea perfect instead of word perfect, which is like kind of a chaotic thing to do, right? Because it's like, then what if you learn some of the lines that are wrong? But like for me, it's more like, what is the idea behind it and the motivation behind it? And then after that, I can kind of like go in, and if it's important, especially some like writers really want it to be, word
I
perfect, or
have a
there's like
follow-up question that I want to be like,
circumstances.
how
Yeah.
common is that people care about word perfect? But I'll let you finish your process
Yeah,
first.
it's and it's like honestly like not, especially for things that need to be memorized or that you're with somebody else. I think a lot of times the priority is
Meaning.
the interaction and the sort of authenticity of the moment as opposed to getting it like all the articles like a and the perfect.
As a writer who has had actors read my writing, I do not give a shit. As long as there's no character lost by someone saying a word wrong or a sentence out of order, I don't care at all. But I know some people, like Tarantino, who I'm clearly not on the same level as, care a lot.
Yeah, it's a
different
tough one.
people.
It's I think it's so interesting that the relationship between the actor and the word and how like there's the very famous image of Brando on the set of The Godfather, and I think it's James Caan, and James Caan literally has the words taped to his front whilst Brando is just reading off his body.
Crazy.
And like I think we're talking about acting in general when it comes to like screen and stage and stuff like that, but there's also like the skill of like, let's say we're doing video game work, we probably haven't sometimes read it, sometimes it's coming in hot, so you have to have the ability. They're two very different disciplines.
Totally.
Because there's the ability to make something that you've learned incredibly well sound real for the 1,000th time of saying it, or you have 3 goes at it and you've got to make it sound like you've said it 1,000, like as good as that 1,000. And it's like there are different types of actors that are really good at it. Like I'm usually best on my first and third takes. I'm not good on my second take.
Rahul's the
I'd
same.
say 90% of the takes you're going to get are either going to be my first one or they're going to be my third one.
Yeah.
The second one is usually me just fucking around.
Yeah.
And to figure out what the movements are. And usually, like when directors ask me what do I want to do, I'm like, I want to do 3. I want to do 3. And then you doing a fourth, you're just fucking with yourself.
Waste of time.
Yeah.
Waste of time. You don't need to do a fourth.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a different discipline working on video games to working in that, because like for me, I would say to any professional, learn your lines. Lines are the skeleton of the performance. Then you can build the body. It's like, then once you know the words, you don't even need to worry about the words. You can then play around with them. You can then feel, how do they feel in the moment? You don't know where you're going to be on a film set. They could be like, actually, this scene said it's in a bar. We've now just set it in a stadium. And you're like, what? And the whole thing just changes. But because you know the lines well enough, you can adapt. And like, you don't know where you're going to be. You thought the conversation was going to be really far away, but the director then goes, no, the conversation is really intimate now. And you're like, okay, that changes everything.
But it doesn't matter because you already know the words so well. Yeah.
You know the words are there, and then you play.
Yeah. I would actually say that, you know, when I did more stage, you know, like Shakespeare or things where it's like the words matter, like learning it ahead of time on my own. And I think I have like a little similar method in that, like, I will walk around or drive or do all sorts of things while I am just sort of like running it, like mouthing it along to myself. I feel like for plays, it was my most important skill was sort of like memorization and being able to sort of give life to it and not be too rigid in it. And these days for voice acting and even for on camera, that cold reading is the skill that I most rely on.
Interesting.
Which was two different. I remember doing classes on sort of both, like a scene study, which is more like you get a scene, you break it down, you memorize it, you put it up on its feet, versus cold reading, which is like you get a script and you have to just kind of do it.
How did you learn that skill? I agree that's very important. I think I am not good at that. I think I am a much better actor if I can like read into things really well. Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
But what's the practice for that? Like just doing it over and over again?
Yeah, like you get a book or a thing, and like honestly, like if you can do little study sessions with people, or you know, just get a group together and just sort of cold read plays. For a while I was doing that. Friends and I were like, get, you know, the scripts to Star Wars or something, and then just do a live reading. And now anytime I do like a script read, it's like I'm so good at specifically that because I'm used to like just getting a page and just making a choice. There's two things I would say is like just practice, and then also getting really comfortable with making a strong choice.
Yeah, and I can
just
say
committing to
from
it.
the like side of somebody working for a company who would employ actors, that making a choice is extremely important.
Half of the script. And then the improvisers will do the other half of the script, and they don't know what the script is. And so the actor has to always say their chosen character's lines in the scene.
That's such a good idea.
And it's incredible. Wow. It's one of the most entertaining nights of theater you can see. Damn. Because often you're seeing like people from your favorite TV shows, like, you know, whatever, like, you know, Game of Thrones or whatever. And they're performing the scene, and then the improviser will listen to the first line and then just decide what the scene they're in is. So they'll be doing they have to vibe and be like, react to everything, and just like, well, are we coming in? Are we not? Are we in a Victorian drama? Are we in an American TV show? I don't know. It's awesome.
That's a really good idea. Yeah, I'll have to see that. Related to Game of Thrones, Abu's not here. He'll be here next time, hopefully. I was gonna say why, and I don't know why. I don't know if I can say why, so we'll just walk back out of that.
Yeah, I will say it has to do with Abu being healthier than the rest of us.
It does,
healthier and more disciplined than the rest of us, which is, you know.
Shout out to him. But also, because we haven't said it yet, Erika, congratulations on Ghost of Yotei. So fucking cool.
Thank you. I can't, like, this is so dear to my heart, and I like that team is just fucking incredible.
They are
and
wonderful.
Yeah, I'm so grateful to be part of it, and I still can't believe it. I will be walking around occasionally and be like, oh my God.
I mean, that's got to be like a dream job, you know? Imagine being the protagonist of an RPG. You know? What a...
that must be crazy.
Can you imagine?
I cannot imagine.
No, that is so fucking cool. Like, just... I was so hyped when I saw it. Like, congratulations. I can't wait to play it and be like, that's Erika, that's so cool.
I was like, I know them.
I know.
Yeah. Oh my God. Do you guys still do, I mean, you guys still do that when you're playing games and stuff, and you'd be like, oh, you know, like Leo pointing at the screen with all your friends.
All the time. Yeah. Like, and I love it. Like, obviously, people are such good actors, like, that I don't remember, you know, like when playing through Final Fantasy, I didn't constantly go, it's Ben every 2 seconds, but occasionally you'd be like, that's Ben. Obviously had it all the time especially when I was doing a podcast with Troy, because Troy's in every fucking game.
Right,
And you'd be
yeah.
like, is that fucking Troy again? And then I'd look it up and it is Troy. He was in like the Crew 2 that I was playing or something. And I was like, what are you doing here? But I don't remember that it's him because he's so fucking good at what he does. But you never, like, especially when it looks like the person, you'd never stop being proud. Like if I'm playing through Ghost of Yotei, I'm always going to be like, oh my God, that's Erika. That's so cool. Also, okay, we can't talk about it too much. Obviously, SAG strikes is still on. Want to be respectful of Erika not being able to talk about stuff. But the fact that any of the in-game photos, of which that game will have so many, will have you in them, is so fucking cool. Assuming there's a photo mode.
I fucked around with photo mode of Tsushima
Me
for
too.
so much.
More than any game I've ever played.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, even, it was a PS4 game too. It was like last gen console, and I played it on PS5, and it was still so stunning. And it's to be like, that's just gonna be like really cool photo shoots of me.
Of you.
Like,
And yeah, there'll be so many of them. Oh my God. So cool. I'm so excited for you. Congratulations. I'm sure we'll talk about it more down the road.
Down the road.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm so honored to be a part of it. It does feel like everything in my life, I sort of like has been leading to this moment, and yeah.
Yeah, let
God.
yourself sit in
Can
that
we
as
get
much
the
as you want.
exclusive?
Yeah, get an exclusive.
Can we get exclusive interview? Like when it comes out, we'll like don't do any other interviews, and this is the one, so we
Just
can get the
us.
views. So we can
It'd
get
be
the
really
views.
good. It'd be very important for our highly monetized podcast that
Yeah,
we've just started.
I think I can give.
We're very views focused.
I can give an exclusive scoop, definitely.
Great.
Say stuff on here that I will not share with the rest of the world.
Nice.
Thank you so much. Well,
Yeah.
this podcast is a legally binding contract, and that will be upheld in a
Verbal
court of law.
contract.
Thank you
Yes,
very much.
yes.
But
Can't wait.
also, Erika, congratulations on Dragon Age Veilguard.
Thank you.
Can you just like calm down for a second or something?
I cannot ever calm down. It comes back to that whole ADHD thing, and it's that's again a crazy thing. And yeah, congrats to all of the folks that were part of that. It's like that was a massive undertaking.
Yeah.
And I got to hang out with Corinne, who's a game director, and we, it was really special to like talking about the kind of stuff that we fought for in it, and it's just really special. It's really special.
I have not played Veilguard.
So smoochable.
That's a huge thing. So I've never like played a ton of
That's the
Dragon
whole thing
Age.
about
My lead though, our lead writer is like obsessed with Inquisition. I swear she plays it like so regularly. And so I'm like, I haven't asked her yet. Maybe I'll ask her today how she feels about Veilguard, because I know she's like, so I hear about Dragon Age all the fucking time. But I've never really played a lot of them. Like, this is such a dumb question to ask on a podcast where everyone else knows the answer to this, but like, what's the meat and bones of Veilguard? Like, I know it's a fantasy RPG, but like, what's the Dragon Age?
I think the Dragon Age of it all is, lies very much in the world building, and there's continuation from the last game, the story. Okay. But I think that to me, the real heart of Dragon Age, as an IP, is in its smooching, right?
That tracks.
Like, I think that's the thing, the big thing for all BioWare games is that like, people want to smooch. People want to smooch fantasy or sci-fi. And
that's a really good point, because like we would never talk about them that way, because you look at them, like you look at Mass Effect, that trilogy, that is like, it's a fantastic trilogy, right? But part of what makes it so fantastic or so emotionally resonant, like with the sequence in Mass Effect 2, anyone, if you haven't played it, I won't spoil it, but it's a fucking old game at this point, is so emotionally resonant because you could be losing people that you have actually put the time into developing a relationship with, and like at the end of the day,
suicide mission.
Thanks, Ben. Yes,
it's what it's called. It's what it's called.
I was trying to be vague. Okay, that game just came out. I tried, but you're not wrong. I've just never thought about BioWare games that way. That they really are, in essence, about smooching. It's just high stakes smooching.
High stakes smooching.
I love that.
Like honestly, and like I love any game where it's smooching and then a
the
little
skate
bit
tree.
of combat and stuff in
Cyberpunk.
there. Yeah. Again, all about the smooching.
Yeah.
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 I'm in a game called Date Everything.
Yeah, me too.
I play Dorian, so I play all of the doors in the house. So every
That's great.
door that you go into, there's 17 different doors, and I play every single one. And I'd say like he's like an end game smooch. Like it's tough to get Dorian. I'm telling you that. It's tough. You gotta work hard to
Get
smooch
the
with Dorian.
doors.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's no combat, it's just dating.
How
Just dating.
different is voice acting just for dating? Is that like a whole extra layer of?
Yes. There's
Cool, thanks,
can I
Ben.
there yeah, it is hard. There is I'm doing a game, I mean, everyone knows this. I'm in a game called Warframe 1999, and Reb Ford has put a romance system into Warframe 1999 where you can romance any of the new Warframes.
Oh, lovely.
So we've had to do, through the power of their own MSN Messenger, you can do text chat with them and basically like end up dating them.
Wow.
And then we have to do the dates and stuff. And so we're recording all the stuff, and it's like, this is the state that if you like them, then it's the state that like if you can be in love with them. And it's like I'm playing this badass character who's like slashing demons and whatever, not demons, but like just slashing things to death. And then also I'm just like just a cute little fun guy. Just a cute little fun guy who has his own little personality.
Aren't we all? You know what I mean? At the end of the day,
Yeah.
Oh, we're all just a cute little fun guy.
It's just about the smooching.
Love
and
that.
it's like you've got to get right into the microphone and be like, I love you, I love you, I love you.
If you guys were romanceable NPCs in real life, what would people have to do, or like what sort of mini games would people have to play in order to romance you successfully?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I think if you just like gave me some cheese, it would go
special item.
It would go a long way.
Yeah.
If someone were to be like come over and they're like, I brought you this cheese, I really do think that would be like +10 on my romance ability.
Yeah.
Like I'd be very impressed by that.
I think the mission would be like, you've got to go and get this thing, and it's like, get a cheese, and then at the end they smell it and it's so pungent, you're like, this
you can do badly.
She likes that cheese.
That's it. That's me done. Easy.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good one. How about you, Ben?
I think I'd be pretty easy.
Nice. Known for being easy, actually.
I think if anything, you'd have to stop me from romancing you.
Okay.
I'd be the sex pest. No. Oh, don't go near him. He's weird. No. So when I was 4 years old or 5 years old, I really liked the film Tom Thumb, which is this really old film, and there's a song in it which is and it goes, this is my song, a very special song, and I loved it so much that I would sing it in the playground.
That's very cute.
And I thought that if I sang it, someone else would like the song so much they'd want to sing it with me.
And you were just weird.
It's your friendship mating call.
And I think it would be, you'd have to learn the lyrics to a song that you could sing along with me that was my favorite song, and that's how you'd romance me.
That's cute. That's very cute. Well, Erika, what's yours then?
Oh, that's so sweet.
It's very cute.
Oh my god.
Tom Thumb, watch that. It's like a 50s.
Is that the old one that it's like is it black? No, not black and white, but it's like old. Harryhausen or something, where there's like all that forced perspective shots.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
1958.
Yeah. That's nice.
That's so old.
It's so old. I love that film. I love that film so much.
That would be a good mini game of like learning it would have to be
it's
like
a rhythm game.
Yeah, it's a rhythm game.
Yeah, it's just a rhythm game. Okay. What would
it's like a Yakuza karaoke in mechanics. It's like I love it. Great.
Gosh, I think if it were me, You'd probably, I feel like I'd be in some sort of like an apocalyptic or cyberpunky game, and so you
Hmm.
have to
That's crazy.
like,
You are.
yeah,
That is crazy.
I know, right? And like, I think you'd have to best me in combat,
That's exactly what I was going to say. I was like, Erica,
right?
if I was going to try to woo
Yeah,
you, even IRL, I'd probably make it like combat focused.
that would do it. That
Yeah.
would do it.
Yeah.
I'd be
Yeah.
like, let's fence, because I did fencing
Yeah.
for
Oh my
3 years in high
God.
school, because of course I did. But I would definitely try and fight you and be like, this is the way to
Yes.
out. I will do it.
You get
Yeah.
it.
Hmm.
It is love language. I think it's an interesting topic, though. Romance in video games,
Yeah.
I think, is really harmful. I think it's really useful, but I think it is really harmful because I think sometimes bad romance, I don't mean good romance, because there are some games that really do it. Bad romance essentially takes the agency out of the romance. So it basically tells people, if I do enough stuff, I will be able to convince this person that we should be together. And I
I
think
would
it's
say all media does that to an extent, in that like you can see the common themes of persistence, like men are told just be persistent. Like movies have been doing that for a long time too, right? So I
yeah.
would say that happens across the board. I do think this is like a thing I've not thought about hard enough to have an opinion on it, but player sexual is a really interesting thing. Like, do you make your characters like Cyberpunk, where they have a predefined sexuality and you can only woo them if you are the correct sex or gender or whatever appeals to that particular character? Or do you make it so they're all attracted to just the player? I think there's like a really interesting choice to be made there, and I don't know which one I would align with if I were making those choices in a game, because
Mhm.
there is something about player sexual that I can find to be a little strange for a
Yeah, because then
character.
it's like, then because then they don't have any agency or life
Right.
or any
Mm.
or thoughts like outside of the player, you the player, and it centers you in a weird way, and it is sort of an
Yeah.
erasure of people's different kinds of identities
Just
and
seems like such a core
preferences.
part of who people are. So if you remove that from characters, I could,
But see, the thing is
I don't
that if
know.
everybody's
Not sure.
like pansexual in any given group of in a game, any romanceable characters, if they're pansexual, then it's like that's perfectly valid. And a lot of
True.
pansexuals just hang out together anyway and date around within them. So like that's a valid, I think that that's the most valid, because then they
True.
could also be dating other people or each other, but
That's actually kind of a
but
nice
there's,
solution to also Ben's
yeah,
issue with bad romance being harmful, is that maybe people should be able to date one another. Like more RPGs should have other
mhm.
couples that are not just fully player focused, so it doesn't just seem like you are being
Yes.
rewarded all the time.
Yes.
It's not a bad
That.
call. And
I
uncommon.
really think, I mean, it's a difficult thing to program. So that's difficult to actually do.
There
But
is a game
um
that out right now that does do that.
In Dragon
We'll
Age?
say
Who
maybe.
knows? Sag strikes.
Yeah.
Who's to
But
say?
yeah,
I
who's
That's
to
don't
say?
know.
it does seem
But
like a good
yeah,
idea.
yeah,
It's interesting. Like um I don't disagree, but like I had a guy one time who would message me all the time, and he quoted Game of Thrones. He was like, I don't remember the characters' names, but he was like, the guy who's like obsessed with Daenerys, but she's not dating him, and he gets the dragon scale, whatever the fuck. I don't
Oh yeah,
remember what
yeah.
his name is.
Ian Glenn's
oh
character.
yeah, Sir
Yes.
Mormont.
Yes. He was basically like, I'm going to be like him with Daenerys, where I will just repeatedly persist, and eventually you will be grateful. And he said that almost word for word, that he
Hmm.
was inspired by Game of Thrones to not leave me alone.
Okay, was
Mm.
this before Game of Thrones had finished?
Yes, actually, which yeah, I guess would have gone a little differently, but I think there's like an issue with the problem there was more that he was mentally unwell and less what Game of
Yeah.
Thrones did. And I feel like I feel the same way about video games generally, where it's like, if someone is going to take a video game romance system as, the cliche of put kindness coins in until the woman has sex with you, it is more of a
Kindness
problem they
coins.
probably already had than something a video game can persuade. But it's an interesting consideration of like, how do we approach that ethically? Like, I don't know.
It is, and also I realized that I almost now immediately take back me saying that it is harmful, because fundamentally video games are not the cause of that. It's the people who
Right,
choose to
totally.
impose those
Well,
ideas and
I
take that media.
Yeah.
I would say all media is both a reflection of, current prevailing societal norms and also continue to inform it and reinforce it. And, by sort of in some ways depicting or having mechanics that will just sort of portray how things as they are, it is de facto sort of supporting that attitude. And so I think it's a mix. I don't think that video games cause like violent attacks. Like it's clearly,
There's
but
zero evidence suggesting they
yeah,
do,
there's
but
zero evidence
there's
of that.
also
But
zero
it does
evidence suggesting they don't.
perpetuate. Yeah, it doesn't. I don't think that that they cause it, but it also does perpetuate just this American love of guns and gun violence and everything, and makes it look cool. It
There's a
makes it look
reason
cool.
the military
Yeah.
is funding video games, it's not
Yeah,
that
and
clearly
and and
appeals to
just
people.
it really normalizes it, but that it's like that is a criticism that can be leveled at TV and movies
Yeah.
and books, and like just it's in our nature. Humans like both want to create art about the things that they find cool, and then that in turn sort of informs the evolving culture of what is cool,
I really think the reason there are so many shooters is just because it's fun to aim at things. Like, it's not
Yeah.
that people love killing. It's just that one of the fundamental Space Invaders, right? One of the most core gaming experiences is point thing and aim, and it is just a fun fucking thing to do.
Yep.
People like
I
doing
think
it.
I think it's fun, but then also I think that it came from a place of like any corporate meddling, they'll look at something that's successful and say like, well, we need to make more of that because that was successful. And anytime that there's something with a really distinctive artistic vision where it's like, we're going to do something different, it's a smash success because people are so hungry for different things, like
You're absolutely right, yeah.
I love a gun game. Almost all of my favorite games are gun game, or fighting game. But also, I think that like I think about something like Obra Dinn or like even
You said Obra Dinn and I got goosebumps. That
exactly
game, my
right.
god.
It was you play that and you're like, oh, this is why we create games, right?
Yeah.
Or
Just
even
in
just
hope
like
of being Obra Dinn.
everything. Yeah, in hope of being Obra Dinn. My God, somebody make another Obra Dinn, please.
I don't know if they could, I just don't know if they could do it.
I have a pitch for it, but like that's for another thing, because whatever Lucas Pope does next is going to be whatever Lucas Pope
And we're
decides to
happy
do
to hear
next.
it. Do it
We're happy for it, but we're just grateful.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, that's the thing is I want video games, and this is another of my sort of I would do a GDC talk on this, but like I want video games to be ubiquitous as a term for a medium, not for a genre. I want mainstream people, to media consumers, to say like, oh yeah, like I like video games. Like it would be, it's weird. Video games occupies this specific niche where people feel like it's not for them. Like we don't think of movies or TV that way. It's like, oh yeah, I don't like horror movies, or I don't like action movies, or something people will say. But they're like, but there's rom-coms, and there's like,
I've always felt that way about anime. When people say they don't like anime, I'm like, what do you mean? There's so
like,
much anime.
Yeah, it's there's, and especially now, it's just. So I think when people say like, oh, I don't like video games, or like, oh, I'm not good at video games, it's like, well, there's a game where you walk around Walden Pond being Henry Thoreau, picking up picking up notebook pages, right? And it's, I just want people to feel like gaming can be for them. And I think it's happening more and more.
I think Xbox is really pushing for that. The whole this is an Xbox promotional campaign. It's a thing that they've been like moving forward in for a while. Like they've been trying to do that, but they're trying to make it so that you do look at your phone as an Xbox, and that anyone who has a mobile phone can be mobile gaming through games that are available on Xbox Cloud streaming, which is actually very good. It's like I like it way more than I ever expected to, and I feel like
everyone's being very normal about it.
Always.
Well,
Everyone's always normal about things like that.
There's always gonna be a place for gun game, like we're never gonna stop
not getting rid of gun
making
game.
them. But like, also, I want my mom to be able to play a game and just be like, oh yeah, this is a fun little story. Like Florence, right? Like is
Totally.
one that I will suggest to people who are like, well, games aren't for me,
Yeah.
because
Monument
I
Valley is
think,
always a go-to for me.
yeah,
Like games like
It's
that.
also there's TV and there's video games, and then there's also degrees in between, because ultimately it's, are you passive or are you active?
True.
TV is,
Mm.
you're sitting down and you're watching sport, you're sitting down and you're watching the news, you're sitting down and watching a film from 30 years ago, you're sitting down and watching that. It's the passive relationship you have with the screen. Video games are the same. They're an interactive medium. So it's like, you can do that in a 2-hour game. You can do that in a game that you spend 3 minutes on your phone. It's the way you interact with the thing.
Balatro.
Is that when people, yes, right? One of the games of the year, and it's like, it's just a card game. It's the fun little addictive card game. But it's just as valid. It's just as valid in the medium of video games. And I think we get consumed with the idea of the ways in which we can popularly interact with it. And it's like, you can play EA Sports FC. You can play all the 2K games. They are video games in the same way that Ragnarok is a video game, or Dragon Age is a video game. But, Balatro is a video game. They're all just different ways of interacting with it.
I would
They're
say
not-
that, like, my mum plays games, but she wouldn't think that she does because she is only playing things like Monument Valley or Florence or
Yeah,
Wii Sports,
I know
but
people
they're still
that.
fucking video games, dude.
Well, and I think that, just like with any amount of tribalism or media consumption, there are people that build a lot of their identity around sort of liking this one thing.
Totally.
And it feels bad for them when people are like, well, yeah, I like these things too. And I think in games, it just hasn't been as expanded on that because, traditionally, I think the people that get the most sort of marketed to and sort of like, the idea of gamer culture, whereas like, we have people who are cinephiles, but we aren't like, yeah, I'm a movieer or something.
What have you seen? Name 10
Yeah.
movies. How
Yeah,
dare you?
name 10 movies.
Yeah, it's totally a different thing.
Yeah.
Speaking of games of the year, Ben just hosted the Golden Joysticks.
Yeah.
I did.
Congratulations on
I
that.
did.
Very cool. You looked very dapper.
Thank you.
How was that whole experience?
How was it? I loved it. I would love to do that sort of thing again. I think it's cool.
It's very
A
fun.
year ago, no one really knew who I was.
So weird.
It's so weird. And then I'm like hosting the Golden Joystick Awards. Yeah, I loved it. They gave me a lot of freedom to say what I wanted.
That came across. It came across as very Ben, and I love that about it.
Yeah, and whether that's your bag or not, I felt like that's authentically me.
Yeah.
And I want to thank Erika for contributing to the opening. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that prompt. I love it. I loved it so much. It was so sweet, like to be able to roast you in that way.
There's so much stuff that is on the cutting room floor. I have like an hour of people roasting me that couldn't make it. I have Darren Korb saying, when I first met Ben Starr, I thought this man is unwell.
I saw in the clip that you'd posted
on Instagram, the one with him talking about the wheel of. I've got Sam Lake saying, I once watched Ben Starr eat the wrapper of the sandwich before the sandwich itself. He didn't even chew.
Oh, amazing.
It's wild. And like Sven from Larian, and like just so many, like Skill Up doing it, like just people just jumping in and being like, sure, I'll do this weird thing.
I would love to do this for you, Ben.
Would you do it next time for me?
Oh, I was saying
do
that
it right
as
now?
though
Would you
most
like to?
people
Would you like to
but
do
I
one
will
for me?
insult you anytime that you need.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
When I asked I asked Matt Mercer to do it, and he wonderfully contributed. And his response via text is, "This is a very strange form of therapy for you, Ben." And I was like, "Yes, it is." Yeah, the awards are an interesting thing. Everyone gets very drunk. I was there last year when Troy did it and did a brilliant job, like essentially just controlling the drunken crowds of people.
All right, it's like the Golden Globes.
It's a bummer
it's
that the
wild.
Game Awards don't. It's not. Look, the games industry has a huge drinking culture that like I don't want to advocate for, especially someone who like stopped drinking, and it's very weird now to be at some of those events to be like, oh my god, you're all so drunk, and it's definitely a huge thing. That said, it always drives me nuts that the Game Awards specifically has you sit in that fucking room for 3 hours and you can't even, not even a glass of wine, nothing,
Yeah.
no food.
No,
Drives me
the golden
crazy.
joysticks locks you in with
a
wine.
bar. Yeah.
It just goes, here is loads of wine on your table.
GDC does too,
Drink.
right? Did they give you guys wine?
Yeah,
I think they do. Yeah, I think
If you don't remember, then maybe.
I think GDC was more respectful.
It's like in
you
between.
also looked amazing when you did the
Thank you,
GDC
appreciate
awards.
it. Thank you.
The trick for and apologies if this is weird, but like because a couple of my best friends are sober, but like for people who do want to consume at Game Awards, the trick is to just like get a couple ahead of time and double fist in the lobby.
Yeah. I
And
think I
then-
might, like, again, I don't drink very much, mostly sober, but I will drink occasionally for an event like that. And the Game Awards is just, it's so long that I'm like, maybe I'll just pre-drink somewhere.
Are you going? Are you guys going this year?
Yes,
Oh no.
I am.
No, I will see you there.
We should do an in-person podcast. Will you be in town?
I wish I'll be in New York all of December. Yeah.
Damn you.
I know. And usually the place to be is the after party that where just like all my friends hang out at the Marriott afterwards.
JW, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting. Yeah,
The Game
It
Awards
is.
is interesting.
my experience at the Game Awards was I was quite exposed after the Game Awards last time.
I find it
From a point.
very overwhelming.
Yeah, and so I what ended up happening was there was just a queue of people who wanted me to sign stuff because they know where everyone is. So like they've just however many people have just watched you on screen, and then they literally know where you are.
Yeah.
So they're waiting for you, and then there's just kind of no security to deal with that. And so you're trying to go to
And
this
it's very
hotel.
easy to get separated from your friends. Like, people are very nice. I've never had a bad experience, but I
No.
will no longer hang out after the Game Awards for too long because I find it a little too overwhelming.
I got stuck, and it was what a lovely thing to have people want to
Of course.
express their love for the work. And I will always spend time with people, and I always want to make sure that they're getting some quality time. But it gets to a point when there's a queue of people, and I'm going, I actually can't do this now. And it was really bad. So I had to kind of like hide for a bit because I was caught between the theater and the JW.
Yeah.
And then I kind of hid for 10 minutes and took a breather, and then went to a different party because the JW, everyone does go there,
Yeah.
and it's great. And you get to meet cool people, but it's very exposed.
You need to bring a handler, even if it's just like a friend or your date or whatever, like, and everything. And you need a safe word. It can be,
The issue
an
with
actual.
that, though, is this is such like a conversation we don't need to have on this podcast, but it is good advice for people who want to be actors, I guess, is if you have a friend who's a handler, they will fail. If you have a safe word, it will fail. Like, the problem with the Game Awards is like once you're outside and one person sees you, there's a mob. And then whoever your handler is, if it's someone, like if Ben was my handler or even my safe word, he'll have a mob too. So then you both just get slowly split.
But that's why
very
you
hard.
have like people that are outside of it.
Yeah.
Or,
I guess you'd have to
or
have someone
somebody
who's
who's
not
willing to be
attending.
the bad guy.
Yeah.
And like
and people are so nice. That's the thing, is the people are so
Yeah.
nice. And it's like, I don't ever want to like anyone to listen to this and think that I don't
Yeah.
want them to say hi. I do not want that, because
yeah.
it's so nice to go to the Game Awards and people are all excited. Everyone looks so cool. You get gorgeous photos because they're all dressed up, and people like are slowly like starting to get more fashionable about it, which I find really fun. It's nice to be reminded that people are nice when we get so much shit on the internet. So like, please don't not
Yeah.
say hi. It can just be a thing that like if somebody like needs to walk away, it is super overwhelming to be there these days. Like, it is just a lot.
Yeah.
And you just not really, and we have to be there because we work in the industry too. It's sort of work. Like, I'm not. You don't have a say. Like, I have to go, really. And then you just, and it can be a little bit overwhelming. That's all.
Just
People are
in
very nice.
general at cons, it is helpful to have somebody that's either not going to draw their own crowd
Yeah.
or is okay, because I'm also okay like drawing boundaries. And that's the thing, is like I'm so genuinely excited to see people and to connect with them that I think that they know when I say like, hey, I'm so sorry I have to leave right now, or I'm so sorry I have to get to a thing, or I promised a friend I'd be here. Like they know I'm not trying to blow them off, you know? I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never had anybody like complain about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's, you gotta save the reserves in the tank and everything.
Yeah.
And
I've had that experience, and actually I would say most of the interactions I've ever had with genuine fans have been just incredible. And also
Yeah.
everyone's been really respectful. I think it's just boundaries that I draw up. And I think I said this to you, Erica, when we first kind of were talking. I'm figuring out what my relationship with that aspect. Like no one
I
knew
guess
who I
this is
was
very
like a
new to
year
you,
ago.
Ben. Yeah.
So new and so loud and so new. Like I hosted the Golden Joysticks a year and a half after
Crazy.
not even a year and like a year and 3 months after my first game came out. Like it's been so loud. And I don't know, I'm not used to it. And also I'm also a fan. So it's like I'm meeting people as well. So it's so I'm like a baby fawn, like just figuring out what that is at the moment. And I love it and I want to get it right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I
and
don't
it's
want to let
part of it
people
is
down.
I know that's the thing that you're like you probably never get rid of that feeling. Like, but Erica's right. Learning boundaries is a huge thing, and
Yeah.
like I always worry about this is less of a problem at the Game Awards because I will just talk to everybody and I'm happy to do that. I just have to
Yeah,
disappear after I do
yeah.
that. But like at E3 when I was running around working and people would want a photo and I would have to be like, I'm so sorry, I have to go to an appointment. Very hard to figure out how to say that while you're running and not sound rude. Like, and there's like ways to figure out like what's the phrasing to make sure that I'm not offending people. I'm sure that I probably did occasionally be like, I'm so sorry, I don't have time. But like, because I'm stressed, because I'm running late to something that I have to write on for work. It's a whole separate minefield that I don't know that anyone has correct answers to, unless
I
Erica does.
have I
Go
have some
ahead.
thoughts on that too, but also I did a thing like when I was on at some con or something where I knew that I would be like working and like running around. And again, like it's so weird to me because I don't know, as a deeply, deeply unpopular kid, and like as somebody who has sort of just like been on the very, 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 very slow ramp for 10 years, it's like I'm always grateful for it. It will
Totally.
always be like a joy and delight to meet other people who love the things that I do because I love the things that I do. I got into this because I love it so much.
Exact same
But I
experience.
think
Also, slow ramp 10 years here because I love it. We share, like, I love the same
yeah,
thing you
it's
love.
so
I love
same
talking
exact
about it.
thing.
Yeah.
And it does feel weird to be like, no, thank you. I would not like I
Can't even
cannot
comprehend
talk
that.
to you.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. It's I can't it seems crazy. But also I had like little cards and stuff that were like things for you could it's like give this to your dungeon master in order to like do a drama bomb sort of a thing. And I had it like signed and be like, and I'd be like, sorry, I can't like say hi, but like, as here, take
Oh,
this,
that's really
or
cute.
like I had like a
That's
bag
cute.
of dice when I would be like, I'm so sorry, like I really would love to just sit and listen to you talk about your character, like truly, but I can't. Please have this die,
That's a really cute idea.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
because it's like
You can
it
still
really
show
means
appreciation without having to, like, spend the
yeah,
time
it
if you
means
can't.
so much to me. Like I
Yeah.
will never get tired of people saying hello. So like, yeah, if you're listening and you think about like, quote unquote bothering me, you're not bothering me.
Definitely same.
But like just know that like, yeah, sometimes like I'm gassed out or I have somewhere to go or
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
or I'm like anxious about something. So like, yeah, just like, I think it's not a normal human thing to have to get used to, right?
Yeah.
Of people knowing you.
True.
Because it's like, that awful feeling. I guess the way I explained it to people sometimes is like that awful feeling of you're at a party and somebody's like, hey, how's it going? And they know you, but you don't know their name and you don't know anything about them. It's kind of that a lot, right?
Yeah.
Where you're like, oh no, I'm sorry. Like, I don't know anything about you, but you've seen so much of my life, and my work. And, I would love to get to know you, but I can't, like, I physically cannot,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I
I
think, yeah.
agreed that the takeaway that it is overwhelming. For sure is overwhelming having that many people speak to you and you get stuck away from your friends. And even if one person makes you uncomfortable, like it's so rare. Again, majority
Yeah.
of people who've ever spoken to me have been lovely. Please still say hi. I hope I see some of you
Yeah.
at the Game Awards. Looking forward to seeing you, Ben. Maybe we'll do an in-person episode, especially if Abu is
Yeah.
here. But I'd
That'd
love
be
to do
fun.
that. Yeah. And we
Maybe
can.
we'll just loiter around the Game Awards and
And you
just
can do
look
that.
at
Or you can have like
start.
guests. You can have guests. You
Yeah.
can like grab your friends and be like, hey,
That's not a
Hey.
terrible idea.
Kojima-san, do you have a statement for our podcast?
I wonder if I could organize that. That would be difficult, but technically doable. I'll figure it out. But yes, maybe we will have an episode in December that will be in person. That would be super fucking cool.
I'm so sad to miss it.
Well,
I
let's
will
see if we can
be.
have you send something. Maybe do some remote. I don't know. That's
We'll
pretty
get a
hard.
That'd be
cardboard cutout
nice.
of you.
Yeah, surely one of those exists.
Oh my god! Yeah.
Like Florence Pugh. Like Florence
Just
Pugh
like
on
Florence
the press.
Pugh. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love that.
I would love that.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Sorry that we disappeared for a month. I had stuff going on. I am now back. We will be back in December, and then we will hopefully have Erika back in January, and Abu hopefully will also be here in December. I'm Alana Pierce. That's Ben Starr. Ben, where can people find you?
In my house. My address is no, you just find me on find me on the social medias. Follow me on Instagram, because I feel like X is a dying platform. So
Shit.
I'm Ben Starr, _Ben_Starr. You'll just see me posting pictures of me and my dog.
Very cute dog. Very
Loving
cute.
our life.
Very cute dog.
Yeah.
Erika, congratulations again, and where can people find you?
Thank you. I'm Erika Ishii. You can find me on Blueski at Erika Ishii, or on Instagram at Erika Ishii.
Beautiful.
And TikTok is where I am sometimes, is the Erika Ishii. Also in December, I'm going to be in New York. I'm
Yes.
doing a run in an interactive tabletop game show off Broadway called 20-Sided
Whoa.
Tavern,
Whoa,
where it's like a
cool.
choose your own adventure improv D&D campaign, which is
You're
gonna
the
be an
coolest
absolute
person I
blast.
know. What the
That's
fuck?
so
That's so
cool.
sick. Oh my god.
ADHD, baby! So
Superpower
I hope
confirmed.
to see some of you there, and definitely do say hello if you see me.
That absolutely rules. Thank you for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye.